Hello and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on wherever you are joining me today. My name is Susmita Das Gupta. I am a tea artist. I call myself a tea artist. I am from India and I only deal with Indian tea. Why I call myself tea artist is because I teach the art and craft of drinking and making good tea. Thank you very much, Nomad Festival, Europe, to giving me this opportunity to present some of the exquisite teas that come out of India. Some of the things that you might hear today will surprise you, shock you, may also reinforce your ideas and beliefs about Indian tea. Um, but one thing is for sure that you will learn something which perhaps you didn't know about. So let's begin. So let's begin with a legend. This is the legend of how tea was discovered in China approximately 4,000 years back. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of this legend. Most of you know. People who do not know can ask the presenters coming from China or can Google, you know. However, what I'm going to talk about is about another legend which not many people really know about, which originated in India 7,000 years back. In this legend, King Ram of India fights King Ravan of Sri Lanka because Ravan has kidnapped Ram's wife Sita. And during this fight, Ram's brother Lakshman is gravely wounded by Ravan's son Meghnad. It seems that Lakshman may not survive, and Ram is very worried. He talks to the doctor in his army, and asks for his suggestion how to save his brother. The doctor in the army tells that there is only one way that Lakshman can be saved, and that if somebody can visit the Himalayas and bring him a particular leaf of a particular plant. Now remember, this fight is happening in the present day Sri Lanka. Ravana is the king of Sri Lanka and Ram is the king of India. And how do you reach 6,000 kilometers and bring back a leaf? So this task is entrusted upon Ram's faithful follower Hanuman, who is the monkey king of a kingdom called Kishkinda, which lies in the present day Karnataka, where Bangalore is the capital city right now. And he flies, jumps, whatever he does, he is a superman. He goes to Himalaya and he lands up there. However, he cannot identify which plant or which leaf because there are too many plants and leaves, and he had never seen this leaf before. So, the mighty king that he was, he picks up a portion of the mountain in his own hand and carries it to Sri Lanka. The doctor picks up the plant, takes the leaf, crushes it, boils it in water, and gives that liquid to Prince Lakshman, and he recovers. That is actually the first reference of herbal medicine, a herbal concoction, a medicinal herb, what we today perhaps know as tea. Let us remember this that tea, cha, chai, cha are very recent words and were not known during the time I'm talking about. And to be very precise, it was not until 750 that China got their character for cha almost by accident. Before that, the herb was just simply and plainly categorized as a medicinal herb. So these are all legends. So let us see what the facts say, the fact which has got proofs. Now, this is a Dutch botanist whose name is Cohen Stewart. In 1916, he identifies a region which he calls the cradle of tea. And he says that this region is located somewhere in a place which is an intersection of southwest China, Burma, Tibet, and northeast India. This is the location that I'm talking about, if you can see in the map. And this is from the book called The Tale of Tea. You can look it out, in the Google. And these are the exact latitude and longitude for that particular region. The interesting thing about this is that many mighty rivers flow through this region, and it is believed that these rivers have actually contributed in the growth of tea in this particular area. Some of the teas, like in Burma, Iravati, Burma is the old name for Myanmar. Then you have Assam, where the Brahmaputra, the mighty Brahmaputra flows, which is called Sangpo in Tibet. And then you have the Yangtze Kiang from China, Mekong, and this has helped in dispersing these rivers to different areas from the origin. So the origin could be anywhere in this place. It has gone up and down based on the flow of the river. Now, how does this impact the origin of tea in India? Now, to understand that, we have to go back to about 1,000 years back, maybe little more than that, where a particular group of people uh, lived in Burma. They were known for their indigenous farming technique called the jhuming. The jhuming has an English name at present, and it is also called step cultivation. In jhuming, what happens is they clear a particular place in the hill in the form of steps so that water can be retained and it does not just simply flow down, and they grow their crops in these steps. Now, after growing crops in this particular location for a few years, they clear out that place and go to the next location. Now, by doing this, this particular tribe slowly moved from Burma, which is on the northeastern part of India, and moved into uh, the actual northeastern part of India. So from Burma, they entered India in a particular place which is today known as Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. In olden days, in ancient days, Assam was known as Kamrupa. Now, these people have been historically recorded to use this leaf of the plant, which was later on identified as the tea leaf by John McCosh, who was writing a book on Indian tea, that this tribe, particularly the one which moved from Burma to India, the Singpos, they actually use these tea leaves as a vegetable as well as make drinks out of it. So the original people who are actually doing something with the leaves are the Singpos who migrated over a period of time into India and settled down and became indigenous of India. These are the Singpo people, extremely proud, culturally very advanced, a very, very hard working people who live in the northeastern part of India, particularly now in the state of Assam. And these people have been growing, eating, drinking, and smoking something that we now known as Camellia assamica. Singpos even today follow the ancient tradition of making their tea. How do they process their tea? They first put the green leaves into the pan, in a metal pan, as you can see here, and by the time they turn brown, they put it outside to be sun dried. And after that, to make a more powerful and flavorful tea, they put them in bamboos, inside the bamboos. I'm not sure how many of you understand what bamboo is. You can Google it, but bamboo is kind of a plant that grows in the Southeast Asian countries. Assam is the largest producer of bamboo in the world, and these they are like rods, like products which has got holes inside. So they put these leaves inside these bamboos and they put it on fire so that it gets further dried with the smoke. So the end product is a very smoky tea that comes out of it. Now, I have been talking to a few Sengpo people and they believe that this is the original pua. This is exactly how it looks like. Now, if you know the history of Pua, Pua is actually the city from where, in ancient time, China is to ship their tea southwards, primarily to Tibet. So, Pua is the starting city. And those days, it was very difficult because they were really traveling on mules and tea is voluminous. So they used to compress the teas and put it in boxes so that it becomes easy to travel with. And when they travel for a couple of months to, going from one city to another, these teas will go through natural fermentation in the compressed form and eventually Pua became. So keeping that in mind, the origin story of Pua and how these people make their own tea, which they call Falap, but they believe is the original origin of Pua. I think they have a merit in their claim. So this tea can be used as long as 10 years. And when they have to drink up or brew the tea, they just cut a small piece of the bamboo and they do it. So this is the bamboo. So they have cut the piece. So the tea has come out and this is how the brew looks like. Besides that, there are also some other references of how tea has been used in different parts of India. Now, if we go to Gujarat, which is in the western part of India, here this is Gujarat. There's a tribe who what they used to do is they used to boil the tea leaves with milk and sugar, and after boiling it, they used to actually throw away the boiled water and just eat the leaf, which is now sweetened with milk and sugar, as a very tasty snack. So it's a very interesting way of taking tea or eating tea, if you may call. In Northeast India, which is here, in India, in Northeast India, people used to mix tea leaves with cooked rice and left it to be soaked overnight. So overnight it becomes fermented. It tastes very tasty. Put some salt, put some lemon, some green chilies, and it's a tasty food for breakfast or lunch or any other meal. In fact, I have also eaten something like that when I was growing up. I am from this place called Calcutta, so I'm not very far away from Northeast. Though I live in Bangalore, which is here in Karnataka. And also in ancient medicine, the Ayurveda, the ancient medicine which originated in India called Ayurveda, there tea used to be boiled with basil, which is the tulsi leaf, honey and ginger, and given to people who were suffering from cold, fever, those kind of stuff, cough. So tea has been present in India in different formats, though we were not calling it tea or cha, whatever, at that time. And we have been drinking tea and the tea leaf, eating it, smoking it for hundreds and thousands of years. Let's now give you a quick timeline about how this herbal medicine or herbal herb became the tea that we know today. Now, as I said, in the ancient time, the legend of Ramayana, the Ram, Lakshman, Sita, and Ravan, which is a story that comes from one of our major epics, the Ramayana, tells the story about the leaf that saved Lakshman. Then, of course, 4,000 years back, tea gets discovered in China. Harshavardhan and Ashoka are very mighty emperors of India, and there have been uh, notations that people in the visitors, particularly foreigners, were served tea in their royal court. Ashoka is primarily known for promoting Buddhism and converting, promoting Buddhism from in India and in Sri Lanka. And the Singpos, of course, the recorded history starts from 12th century AD, but they have been doing this for thousands of years. So this is the ancient timeline. Now, the history of tea in India is not complete without the history of tea in Europe, because the way we know tea in India wouldn't have happened if the British had not taken a liking to this. So in 1610, the Dutch introduced tea into Europe. In 1639, the French kind of got hip to this uh, beautiful beverage. In 1657, green tea from China was introduced to London's coffee house. Now, let us remember that coffee houses those days used to be very popular and used to be a place where men would go and sit and smoke and drink coffee. In 1658, first tea advertisement in London newspaper appears, and they're still not calling it tea and calling it China drink. In 1667, the British East India Company places their first order of tea with China, 143 pound. In 1706, tea room opens in London by Thomas Twining. 100 years after the British placed their first order, they realized that they would not survive only by buying tea from China. So they have to have their own tea gardens and they have to find a place where they can grow it, sell it, and make money out of it. By 1787, India was becoming a stronghold of the East India Company as well as the royal house. So they sent some people, disguised people. They went to China as spies, and they smuggled out some tea seeds and leaf, and they tried to put these tea seeds in a place very near to Calcutta on the other side of the river Ganges, and wanted to see if they could cultivate. Of course, they utterly failed because that was not a really a topography where tea can be grown. So, feeling very dejected when they were discussing about that, there was a particular Indian gentleman who overheard them talking about their failure. And once he asked to see the leaves and the seeds, he was very surprised and he told the British people, the officers, that this particular plant grows in his homeland abundantly. Where was the homeland? You guessed it right, in Assam. So all of them went to Assam, and Maniram Diwan became the first private Indian tea planter and the first tea factory and estate was established in India in Assam. Subsequently, tea went to Darjeeling. Darjeeling being the summer capital, is a cold place in the Himalayas. Calcutta was the capital city, hot, humid, sultry. So they went to Darjeeling and planted the seeds and they grew. Not only they grew, they became fantastic. The tea that came out of Darjeeling was fine, beautiful, exotic, and though they were from the Chinese seeds, they had a completely different characteristic from a Chinese tea, making it one of the most sought after tea that the British started exporting out of India all over the world. It took a lot of time and effort to make people drink tea in India. Lipton Company did put in a lot of effort to make people aware that tea is not harmful, it is not poisonous, it will not turn black. Those days, there were a lot of those kind of stuff happening. And after they left India in 1947 and the tea board was established, they slowly the concept about tea slowly changed, and sometimes by the end of 1960s it became a welcome drink. Now if you visit India anytime anywhere, 95% of the households you will be offered a cup of tea. So that took a lot of time, from 1839 to 1960. That was 120 years to make tea popular in India. Now of course, as they say, the rest is history. Now these are the places where in India that tea are grown. As you can see, there are many places where tea are grown, but not all places are equally known to the world, and not all the places go equally good kind of tea. But what we should remember is this, that these are the five GI registered uh, tea growing regions of India: Darjeeling, Assam, Nilgiri, Munnar, and Kangra. So if you are buying directly from the estate, you would definitely see this Indian tea logo, which is a logo that Tea Board of India promotes, and this Darjeeling, Assam, Nilgiri, Munnar, Kangra, this also you will see. This will tell you that these are authentic products. Now let us go to and understand what is the characteristic of Assam. Now Assam tea, let us understand that Assam is a region, tea growing region, which is completely plain land. And this, in fact, is the world's largest plain land where tea grows. Most of the places it's hills. The Assam is the one region where it is everything 100% is plain land. And Assam, the tea are known for their body, very bold, very dark red. In Assam, they call it lal cha. Lal means red, cha, is tea. So lal cha, because their tea is completely red in color when you brew it. And they have two plucking seasons, the which is I mean, they have this plucking season which varies between March and um, September, and they have something called the first flush, and then they have the second flush. And in India, 50 to 70% of the tea comes from Assam. They grow majorly black tea. These days, they have also started making some green and white. Darjeeling, uh, they actually have I think I do not have to comment that in Assam it is Assamica variety of tea, while in Darjeeling it is the China variety of tea. And there are something called clonal teas in Darjeeling, which are very good, and they are actually clones of the original teas. And they have in Darjeeling. They have four seasons, or they are called flush of plucking and making tea. The first flush starts end of February, right after winter, also called the spring flush. Then you have the second flush, which is also a somewhat kind of a tea, and the monsoon flush and the autumn flush. Now the first flush are very expensive, are very sought after, and very delicate. The second flush is also extremely well known. In fact, this is the tea which most of the people outside India knows about, the Darjeeling's black tea. It is the muscatel flavor of Darjeeling tea that makes it extremely unique. Then the monsoon flush and the autumn flush that comes. They are not as famous. as the rest too, but they are quite good in their own way. Interestingly, the Darjeeling tea is also called the champagne of teas. Nilgiri doesn't really have any season. They grow and pluck and produce, make tea all through the year. But they have tea that comes from very high altitude as well as the plain lands. Interesting fact: the highest tea uh, factory in India is actually in Nilgiri and not in Darjeeling. In Nilgiri, it is situated somewhere between 7,300 feet. In Darjeeling, it is around 6,000 feet. And the tea that come out from those high locations are extremely fine, very nice, particularly their white tea. They're very, very, very fine and very delicate. And other interesting fact is that because the tea plantations is situated within an area which is called the spice region of India, and a lot of spices grow around, a lot of eucalyptus teas are there, a lot of spices, cardamom, ginger, and all those kind of stuff. The tea takes those aromas and flavors, and they have a very unique uh, flavor and aroma that comes out of it when you brew them. Also, the Nilgiri tea has very less tannins as compared to other tea, thereby less astringent and very, very good for making iced teas. Munnar is a very, very old location, as you have seen. But in 1905, there was a major earthquake, and most of the tea factories and plantations were destroyed completely. And it was not until after independence that people started growing teas, because when the British left at 1905 because of the earthquake, the local people were not equipped to handle or manage tea estates or make tea out of the plant. Interesting fact: somewhere between 1870 and 1885, two teas from Munna. Sorry, I'm not talking about Munnar here. I'm talking about Kangra. So most two teas from Kangra actually got awards. First, gold medal, and second one is a silver medal in a tea contest that happened in London. So Kangra teas were known as extremely good, extremely nice, flavorful, quite similar to Darjeeling. And but somehow because of the major earthquake that happened in 1905, they lost it, and it took almost another, 50, 60 years for them to get back to production. But they produce some very fine teas. We were talking about Munnar. Sorry, I made a thing here. So in Munnar, it is in the Western Ghat. It is one of the UNESCO. It is located one of the regions which is considered World Heritage Site by the UNESCO because of its biodiversity. There are only 8 regions like that in the world, and this is one of them. And the unique thing about this tea estate is that the entire tea estate is managed by one company, and that company runs as a cooperative. And each worker in the tea estate is a unit holder in that company. So it's a very well managed company. They are very, very good in work wise, ethic wise. Teas are very good, particularly the black teas. It is administered by a group of company called Tata Group in India. In India, the Tata Group is one of the most well-known, respected, very difficult to call a company, extremely respected group of companies who runs this, the administrative affairs, and a lot of their estate are also in Assam. Uh, I must now go to two more regions in India where the teas are extremely exotic. One is Sikkim. Sikkim is a used to be an independent kingdom, and in 1975, when their monarchy ended, they requested to join India. So they became our 22nd state in 1975. And perhaps India is the only country who has never taken over any country with force, but instead people have come and joined us. It's a good fact to share. Arunachal Pradesh is in northeast where the Singhpos has migrated through. Of late, last 2 3 years, they have been making some fantastic teas. These are all artisan teas and they are fetching high prices. So, what are the teas we produce in India? Though everybody knows that we produce very good black tea, let me say that we also good equally good white tea, equally good green tea, and equally good oolong tea. Sounds strange? Let's see. So these are some of the exotic teas that we are now making. People in India are now making in different parts, particularly in the northeast, because that's where the tea growing things are. So this is from Assam, from a estate called Manohari Gold. Manohari, the tea is called Gold Specialty Tea. This is only buds, okay, and this comes from the second flush. So these are plucked between 4 and 6 before the sun rises so that the aroma and the flavor stays intact. And then they are hand rolled and made into this. Look at this picture. The price that they got was 500 US dollar for a kilo. So this is one of a very exquisite teas that comes out of India of late. This is like a couple of years back. This is a tea estate again in Assam. It's called Maijan Orthodox. This is a golden tea tips. They call it the golden butterfly. And this fetched a price of 1013 US dollar for 1 kilo. Again, a very beautiful tea. Then this is from Arunachal Pradesh. They call it golden needle. I unfortunately don't have the picture of the tea, but I have the picture of the brew. And this fetched a price of 540 in 2018. But when they made this again in 2019, they sold it 3 times the price. It became 1015. Extremely good tea. This is a purple tea, again from the same estate in Arunachal Pradesh. If you do not know what is a purple tea, so this is how a purple tea looks like. You can see in this figure. And this purple tea fetched them a price of 337 USD in 2019. This is a very specialty tea from from Nilgiris called the winter frost. In this case, what happens is in the winter, it's very cold in Nilgiris. It goes sometimes 0 degrees also, but usually in winter it is 1 degree, 2 degrees. So the frost settles down on the tea leaves. And the next day, the plucks those leaves which has got frost settled. So the winter frost tea is made with with those leaves. It's only made in very small quantity. And once I asked one of the producers what is the price, he told me priceless. And it is definitely priceless. Though of course they sell it for a price. And they have this white winter frost and black. I tried the black winter frost and I was blown away. So this is my tea, which I have, procured from them, and I brewed it at home. And this is how the brew looks like, and it is a fantastic tea. It's a very good evening tea. Now, this is the tea which is officially called the champagne of tea. This is a semi-fermented oolong tea, and this comes from Makai Tea Estate in Darjeeling. If you do not know, Makai is one of the most famous, most popular tea estate in the world. And this fetches a price of $30 for 50 gram. And this price is listed in their website, in Makai website. So you can check it. So this is the retail price. Now this has a story. Now this is plucked in the moonlit, in a full moon night, and they finish everything, plucking, packing, producing, processing, everything before the sun rises. And there's a spiritual ceremony that happens before that. It's like invoking the God through the moon. And there's dancing, there is praying, there's all this kind of stuff. And over the period of time, it became a tourist attraction. So a lot of people go to Mokai in Darjeeling to just see this festival. This is another tea which is last year, Badam Tam Tea Estate, Darjeeling again. And Badam Tam belongs to Goodrick. Goodrick is owned by a company called Camellia PLC, which is an UK-based company, and this has now broke all records and is sold at in India. Two Indians, a tea For people outside India, same price, US dollar 2,890 rupee dollars per kilo. So this has like kind of broken all records. You can look at the tea and it looks fantastic. This is a very unique tea. It comes from Assam, not from the Singapore, but another kind of people, group of people who from Assam. So this is called a dheki cha. Dheki is this instrument. So this is a very old, ancient Indian cooking or harvesting instrument, you can say. So what happens is they put this tea in this hole. There's a hole here, and there's somebody who can see the lake. So they just press it here, and this thing goes up and down, and in that motion, the tea leaves get crushed. So that's how they make the tea after it has been produced, and that uh, is a very speciality tea. And it actually made after they make the tea into black tea, that then they convert this into this. So it has a very orange color kind of a liquor, after they brew that. So now let me tell you some of the teas that we make other than those exotic teas. Some of the specialty teas that we regularly make in India. Oolong teas, not many of you believe. I know I have been telling this to a lot of my friends from the tea industry and otherwise who come from China, from Canada, from USA, some parts of Europe, and Korea, uh, Japan. They don't believe that we make oolong tea in India. We have been making oolong tea now for quite some times. The Darjeeling oolong is exceptionally good, not just certified by me, I'm nobody that way, but it has been certified by people who understand oolong tea. They have been drinking a Chinese oolong or Taiwanese oolong for a long time, and they think that the Darjeeling oolong is exceptional, which I also think. In fact, to tell you very briefly, when I was tasting this Darjeeling oolong with a set of ladies, one of them just took a sip and said, "This reminded me of single malt whiskey." So I was very happy that we have champagne of tea, and now we also have the single malt whiskey of tea. So, and this one is from Kangra, the other one is from Kangra, which is Himachal. This is a smoked oolong, and it's really beautiful. This is one of my favorite Indian tea. Very nice smoked oolong. You can see the leaves are very different. Here you can see the leaves. Here you can see the leaves are very different. And this is the Nilgiri oolong. Nilgiri has just started producing. I tasted their this year's, not this year, the last year's oolong, and it's still not as good as Darjeeling or Kangra, but they are not bad. And I'm sure that in the next couple of years, they will also learn the art of making oolong. It's a very difficult tea, as you know how to make. If you make a mistake, you either make a green tea or a black tea. So yeah, so Nilgiri is learning. So these are the oolong teas that come from India. And if you have to buy an Indian oolong tea, go for Darjeeling or Kangra at this time. Green tea, Himalayan region primarily, Sikkim, as I said, Temi, and Darjeeling. Very good green tea. You can look at the leaf and you can understand. Extremely good, though I'm not a big fan of green tea, but I sell a lot of Sikkim green tea. White tea, again, the high altitude tea gardens of Nilgiris and Darjeeling. This you can see a silver needle here, and the white teas are extremely good in India. Very good. I mean, the Nilgiri white tea is very popular in across the globe, and so is Darjeeling. I mean, Darjeeling white teas are really die for. Okay, so when we are talking about fine teas or specialty tea in India, this is how we kind of understand the how good are they, or specialty, what kind of, this is actually a specialty or not. So definitely it has to be orthodox, because in India we make much larger quantity of city. So orthodox, it is definitely orthodox. It has to be orthodox. The origin of tea, so whether it comes from Darjeeling, Assam, Nilgiris, Sikkim, what else? Arunachal Pradesh. So the origin also has a hierarchy. Like for example, the Darjeeling tea is much more expensive and much more prestigious, if I can use that word, than say Amunati, right? So there's a hierarchy as well. Then the estate and garden, particularly in case of Darjeeling and Nilgiri. So Mokai Bari tea or a Castleton or a Badam Tam or a Adia, or Gopal Dhara. These are very famous tea estates of in Darjeeling, Hatikuli, places like Kadambari. These are very famous tea estates in Assam. Glendale, Chamraj. These are very famous tea estates in um, Nilgiris. So si- single estate teas are always more expensive. Then the flush, what time of the year it is coming from. So we know though if it's a first flush, the price would be always much more higher than a second flush tea. And of course the leaf sizes. So the grades of the tea depends on the leaf sizes. So the whole leaf grades, broken leaf grades, and fanning. So fannings are of course not considered. Fannings and broken leaves are not considered specialty tea. The only the OPP or orange pekoe teas. Sorry. The another unique thing about Indian tea is that most of these tea growing places have come with, the estates come with heritage bungalows. These are tea bungalows. And many enterprising tea estate owners have converted these tea bungalows into tea resorts. And the prices of these tea resorts can vary from $30 a night to $300 a night and more given this season. And these are extremely nice way of spending time in a tea estate. Um, Particularly look at this one, Singtom Tea Estate, which is in Darjeeling. From the main town, it is about 20 kilometers. So they come to the town and pick you up in their own jeep. And this is they claim to be world's oldest tea resort, and it is sitting on an edge. So 180-degree behind this is clear space. There is nothing. You can clearly see the mountain, that is Himalayas, and Kanchenjunga. Kanchenjunga is the third highest peak in the world. So Everest, K2, and Kanchenjunga. So you can see Kanchenjunga from here very clearly, and it's a delightful uh, sight. So you get peace of mind. It's solitude. Extremely good food. Being in Darjeeling, you can try Indian food, Nepali food, Tibetan food, Sikkimese food, Chinese food, continental because a lot of, and British because of the British heritage out there. So you can actually have any kind of food out there, and it's very peaceful, very nice, very well done up place. Three bedrooms, extremely well done, and the people there are very good. So this is one of the ways a lot of people now these days spend their time to know about tea, and they stay in the tea estate, part of tea tourism. This one is from Assam, and this is also a very old bungalow, 145-year. So it was not a tea bungalow before, but they have now converted into a tea bungalow. And it is inside a tea estate, and the tea estate is inside a reserve forest. Okay, so it is like a lot of exciting things that can happen. And this is run by a trust, which is owned by the Tata Group, and the trust is called this. This is particularly called the Wild Marche, and it's a very beautiful place, and they have been doing extremely good work when it comes to ecology, environment, those kind of stuff. Now let us move into the tea and food pairing. Now, if we have to talk about food pairing, we first have to understand the flavor and aroma. It is very important. So here I have highlighted the region and the tea that grows there. There are some teas which are, you can see, in bold black. The others are in gray. That means those teas are produced or manufactured in those places but are not as well known or not as good. So I'm going to be talking about those teas which are popular, known, and good, and specialty, and you can try. So these are the flavors and aroma profile of teas coming from these regions. So I have taken the black teas first because those are the ones which are more well known, more popular. And I have also taken white teas and some oolong teas. Okay, but that will come in the next slide. So these are the primarily the flavor and aroma, you know, particularly the aroma part of it. So first flush is light floral, light bodied also. Second flush is full bodied, muscatel, nutty, that's why fruity. Monsoon stronger. Autumn is completely full bodied, but very smooth. Assam is very robust, as I said earlier. Also, it has a very toasty and sweet kind of a after effect. A little bit of honey caramel, and as I said, I'm also getting a little bit of vanilla from some of the teas that I'm trying. And Nilgiri, I already mentioned, they grow among a lot of spices and other trees, so it takes up those things in the tea itself. Munnar is a very good cup that they get, full bodied cup, very strong. But it also leaves a kind of a, though it looks very strong, it also leaves a kind of a sweetness at the end of it when you taste it. And Kangra, it's a very sweet tea, primarily it is sweet tea. And green tea is little, kind of woody aroma. And therefore, when you make a oolong out of it and smoke it, it really tastes good and smells good. So, and after understanding the aroma and flavor, this is some of the food pairing ideas I have mentioned here. Now, food pairing, I believe it's a very personal thing, but also there are certain, uh, principles that I follow. Number one principle is that when a tea and food is paired, they should not overwhelm each other. They should balance each other and should enhance each other's characters, whether it's flavor, it's aroma, it should enhance each other. That's very important. And the other thing is that there are many ways of doing tea and food pairing. Two things that I usually do is to actually do a complementary pairing. That means pairing a sweet tea with a sweet kind of a food, or a contrasting pairing where I use a sweet tea with a savory, thereby contrasting each other but balancing it out as well. Neither tea nor the food overwhelms or kills the other, uh, you know, uh, for it. So these two things I keep in mind. And I usually promote or tell people that wherever you are, like for example in India, there are people from India, they ask me that, do I have to really eat fancy food to drink these fancy teas? I said, no, absolutely not. You can, uh, pair this tea with the food that you make at home. So I do not know if all the people who from where you are all coming from. I'm hoping that you are coming from all over the world. So I have tried to put as many different kinds of dish as possible. There is Indian food, there is Spanish, there is Italian, there is continental, there is French, there is Japanese, there is Chinese, there is British. So I have tried to put as much as possible. But my suggestion is that once you start drinking this tea and you start understanding the aroma and the flavors of this tea, as I said, is a very complicated stuff based on when they are coming and what time and which place, you will identify yourself which food goes with it. So whatever you cook at home can be paired with at least one of the teas that I have shown today. So keep this as a map, but my advice is to start drinking tea, understand the aroma and the flavor, and then pick those foods that you usually eat at home and try to match them either complementary or in a contrast way. That's the best way to go about that. So that's it. Hope you learned something new today about India, about Indian tea, food, and the kind of tea that we are creating these days. I'm very proud of my tea. As the French are very proud of their champagne and wine, I am very proud of my Darjeeling and Assam and Munnar. And I hope that you will also start drinking some of these great teas. So you can always buy these teas from the particular estates if you do not know the estate. So you can definitely write to me, ping me with Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Facebook. I will give you the estate names, or you can buy it from me also, because I work with quite a few estates, and you get the same price. I mean, I don't the same price as you will see in their website. I give it to you, so it's the same way I do it. And of course, I'm looking forward to all of you coming to India whenever things get better. And until then, keep drinking some great Indian tea and let the world know about it. Spread the word. Okay? Thank you so much. Namaste and questions.